Hello, this is Jeff from Baron Leathercraft. Today I'm going to show you how I engrave brass coins with the ACMER 100 watt MOPA fiberlaser from start to finish. I'm also going to keep this beginner friendly and explain the key concepts behind it so you understand not just what I'm doing, but why. The coins I'm using today are solid brass blanks I picked up on Amazon. There's a link in the description if you want to check them out. They come with a protective coating which I removed before engraving. I just use a white Scotch-Brite pad to slightly clean the surface. After that, I wipe them down with 90% alcohol. Once you do that, try not to touch the surface. You want to keep any oils from your skin off the coin. If you're new to engraving coins in a 3D style, you might be wondering, how does the software take a flat image and turn it into something that looks sculpted? It's a great question, and the answer is actually very logical once you understand it. When we engrave in 3D, we're using a grayscale image. A grayscale image is made up of tones from black to white. Each one of those tones has a numerical value, black being the lowest value and white being the highest at 255. The software reads those values and translates them into depth. Lower values get engraved deeper, higher values get engraved less, and when it hits pure white, 255, the laser doesn't fire at all. So even though the image looks flat, it's actually carrying depth information, and that's what allows the laser to create a 3D effect. Alright, so these are both really good looking images, but they're not equal when it comes to engraving. Let's start with what they both do right. They're both grayscale, they both have a strong sense of form, and they both look like relief sculptures already. That's exactly what we're looking for, but here's where they start to separate. On the Buddha, the lighting is coming from one side. You can see that shadow falling across the face. To us, that looks natural, but the software doesn't understand lighting. It just sees darker values and assumes those areas should be engraved deeper. So what ends up happening is that shadow turns into actual depth, and that can distort the shape of the face. You might get one side engraving deeper than it should. Now compare that to the Greek philosopher. First thing to notice is the lighting. It's very even. There's no strong shadow coming from one direction. Nothing feels darker just because of lighting. And that's important because the software doesn't understand light. It only understands brightness values. So when you run something like this through a depth map generator, what you end up with is a smooth, sculpted result. This is the kind of image that makes the whole process a lot more predictable. Now let's take a look at one of the images I actually used to create this coin. At first glance, both of these look detailed and well done, but they're built very differently. The first image is heavily textured. All of that detail is drawn in, little lines, gradients, and shading strokes to make it look rich and dimensional. To us, that reads as form and detail. But the software doesn't see it that way. It doesn't recognize those marks as texture. It just reads them as changes in grayscale value. So every little variation gets turned into a change in the depth. It can come out looking rough, noisy, almost like a pitted or bumpy surface instead of something clean and sculpted. Now compare that to the second image. The surfaces are much cleaner, the transitions are smoother, and the depth is described more simply. So when this gets turned into a depth map, the result is controlled. You get smooth curves instead of texture turning into noise. That's why this type of image works much better for engraving. Now let's bring the image into Sculptok and generate the depth map. I'll walk you through the settings I use and briefly explain why, so you understand what actually is happening, not just what to click on. For the model, I'm using Sculpt Pro 1.5. This is the engine that converts the image into a depth map. I prefer this one because it does a good job preserving structure which helps avoid that rough, noisy look in the final engraving. For image size, I'm using the basic 2K option. At this scale, it already captures more detail than the engraving can physically reproduce. 4K adds more data, but it also increases processing time and usually won't make a visible difference on smaller pieces like coins. Next is the optimal size. I leave this on. This doesn't affect the final size of the coin. It just makes sure the image is processed at a resolution the model handles best. Next is AI optimization, and I leave this turned off. This feature tries to enhance or reinterpret the image, but for depth maps, that can actually work against you. So I leave it off to keep everything predictable and consistent. I'm using 16-bit instead of 8-bit. It handles more information, more levels of gray, which creates smoother transitions between gradients. Here's the final outcome from the settings that I chose. This is the complete depth map, and it's ready to be brought into LightBurn. Here we are inside LightBurn. What you see in front of you is the depth map that we're going to use for one of the sides of the coin, and a few layers that help me guide everything. The orange layer that you see is the same circumference as the inside of the coin. What I did was mask the actual depth map inside this layer. That way it lines up perfectly with the coin and its measurements. Now I'm going to share with you the settings I use to engrave these coins with you. If you're not familiar with the different parameters used to dial in a fiberlaser, this is really important part of understanding how your machine works. This is really its own topic and would need its own video, which I haven't made yet, but there are plenty of great resources out there. I'm using the ACMER 100 watt MOPA fiberlaser, so these settings are dialed in from my machine. Every setup has its own nuances, so just keep that in mind. These settings aren't universal, but if you're running a similar machine, like a 100 watt, they should get you close. Now let's talk about image mode. When you're engraving something in 3D in LightBurn, you want to use the image mode called 3D Slice. Think of 3D Slice as the part of the software that reads your grayscale image and translates it into depth. It looks at each shade of gray and decides how deep or shallow the laser should engrave. So instead of treating the image like a flat picture, it breaks it down into layers of depth based on those grayscale values. Now this is my cleaning pass. I run a cleaning pass every 10 passes. It helps clear debris off the surface as the engraving builds. Think of this as removing dust before you lay down another layer of paint. To finish the engraving, I run a separate full cleaning pass across the entire depth map. I do this 3 times at the end, and you'll see in the video how much it improves the final result. Alright, let's go ahead and head over to the actual laser and put our coin in and align it up. Now we're in front of the fiberlaser. On top of the machine, you'll see 2 tools I use when working with coins and other round objects. The first is this jig. It lets me place the coin in the center and clamp it in place so it stays perfectly still. Below that is my XY table, which the jig is mounted to. This lets me make very small horizontal and vertical adjustments, so I can precisely center the coin before engraving. As you see here, the framing laser seems to be centered very well, and we're ready to go. Okay, if you like, let's watch a time-lapse recording of the complete engraving. The time-lapse will only be 30 seconds long. After that, I'll show you what the final cleaning pass is capable of doing. Alright, the time lapse is completed, so let me go ahead and show you what this final cleaning pass does. Now this is in real time and you can tell already what a big difference it makes. I highly recommend doing a final cleaning pass. It does this 3 times, so there's no point in having you sit through the whole thing, but there's a complete process right now. This is what the coin looks right out of the laser. To me it already looks really cool. It kind of has a frosted appeal. This is before it goes into the magnetic tumbler. This is before we add any brass black to it, which is antiquing. It looks cool like this, and I've left some coins just like this, but we're going to take this further. But first, let's watch a time lapse of the other side of the coin. It's just cool looking. It's only another 30 seconds. You could always pass it if you want, but this song is pretty cool. I wanted to hear it. This is how the other side of the coin looks when it's straight out of the laser, before the magnetic tumbler and before the antiquing. Okay, here we are in front of the magnetic tumbler. I'm going to be adding some of this cleaning solution called Shine Bright. You don't need much of it, maybe a spoonful at the most. Otherwise you're going to end up like a sitcom, where the soap is going all over the place. I also wanted to show you the coin before I put it in here, because it's going to look very different when I take it out. Once again, it already looks cool at this stage, but it's going to really shine when we take it out of the machine. I'm going to set it up for 10 minutes. It's up to you how long you want to keep it on. Sometimes I've kept it in there for as long as 30 minutes, but 10 minutes is going to be just enough. In fact, here it is. 10 minutes is up. I'm going to go ahead and retrieve the coin, clean it off, and show it to you. Look how much more of a shine it has. You could actually leave the coin like this, and depending on what the look you're going for, I've left coins like this too. I just wanted to give this coin a particular, very antique look to it. So here it is before any of the antiquing. Look at the difference. What a shine. The magnetic tumbler really does do a big difference on it. Alright, let's get on with antiquing. First you want to clean the coin off again, so I'll use the 99% alcohol and just get any debris off of the coin, because you want to be able to add the antiquing evenly. The antiquing agent I use is called brass black, and I used a Q-tip as the applicator. You want to apply it to every area that you want to have antiquing. In this case, the entire coin. I tried to avoid the rim as much as possible because I wanted it to remain without any antiquing. So it's just a matter of working it in. I let it dry for about 5 minutes. That's up to you. And then after that, I took 0000 steel wool to it and started working some of that antiquing out to get back the shine. I find using a Dremel with some white jeweler's rouge helps bring some of the shine out. After that procedure, I went ahead and inspected the coin and decided I wanted the background to be darker, so I used an eyedropper to add more brass black. I then took the steel wool again and delicately went over the coin. After that, I washed it off in the sink and dried it and decided it's time to apply the Renaissance wax. Renaissance wax is a protective finish. It seals the surface, helps prevent oxidation, and gives the coin a nice subtle sheen. Also, based on the price, I'm guessing it's made out of unicorn tears. You don't get much for your money, but it does go a long way, I have to admit. And here's the finished coin. I'm really happy with how it came out. This is the process I'm using right now, but I'm always learning and trying to improve, and there's a lot of talented people out there sharing great information. So I'm constantly picking things up along the way. I've really been enjoying these fiber lasers. There's just so much control. You can make small changes and completely get different results. If you're watching this and you're making coins yourself, I'd love to hear how you're doing it. If you picked up anything useful, feel free to share it. Everybody benefits from that. Well, I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Truly appreciate it. And like always, let's just get along with each other and try to make life a wonderful thing.